Alright, this is Miss Powell, and I'm going to be going over adding and subtracting decimals. Now, when you're adding and subtracting decimals, there's 3 easy steps. Step number 1, line up the decimal points vertically. This even means your answer decimal. Before you even get adding or subtracting, you need to have your answer lined up, and you need to have your decimal points vertically and your answer decimal point. Go ahead and plug that in before you even get started. Step number 2, fill in your zeros, if needed, as placeholders. If this doesn't make sense, you will understand this part once we get going. Basically, you're going to fill out any empty spaces. Number 3, you just add or subtract. So let's look at this first one I have. 12.5 plus 13.76. Well, my first step says to line up the decimal points vertically. That's why I wrote it like this. Keep the decimal points vertically. I went ahead and drew my line and put the 2 decimal places and wrote 12 and then the 5 on the other side and 13.76. My second step says that I need to place any zeros in if needed as placeholders. Well, if you see here, we have 2 decimal points after, and this one only has 1. We need to go ahead and fill in this empty spot with a 0, because adding zeros to the end of a number does not change the number. That way we have a number for each line, and it's all even. Now, since we have them lined up, all we do is add or subtract. 0 plus 6, we know is 6. 7 plus 5 is 12. We're going to put our 2, carry our 1. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus our 1 is 6. 1 plus 1 is 2. This is going to be our answer. See how easy that was? Let's move on to this one. 119 minus 105.7. Well, let's go ahead and put our 119. And let's go ahead and put our 105.7. We need to fill in our, line up our decimal points. So 119, there's really a decimal point here because it's still a whole number, right? Draw a line in our subtraction line. I'm going to go ahead and bring down my decimal because we're still lining them up vertically. Second step, fill in your zeros if needed as placeholders. Well, I see an empty spot right here. I'm going to go ahead and put my 0 there. We have a nice line up for every single place value. We're going to go ahead and subtract. 0 minus 7, we're going to have to borrow because we can't do that, right? 10 minus 7 is 3. 8 minus 5, 3. 1 minus 0 is 1.
37.
1 minus 1, you can't do, right? 0. So our answer is 13.3. Very easy, right? Alright, so what if there's a variable? Oh no! It's not that scary. All we got to do is get the variable on one side of the equation by itself. That's all we got to do. And then we're going to do the exact same 3 steps. So just get the variable on one side of the equation by itself. This is also known as using the subtraction property of equality and the addition property of equality. Let's look at these properties real quick. Subtraction property of equality basically means if you have something equal something and you subtract something on one side, you have got to do it on the other side to make it equal. If you don't, you're changing the complete answer. It's not going to be A equals B anymore, is it? Let's look at this one. Addition property of equality. It's the same concept. If you have A equals B or something equals something, and you add C to this side, you must do it to the other side of the equation as well, or else you're completely changing the equation. Alright, so to get the variable by itself, using those properties, you're going to perform the opposite operation to the number that is attached, as well as to the other side of the equation, aka the properties of equality. Reminder, if you do something to one side of the equation, you must do it to the other side too. Alright, so let's look at some examples. Step 1, get the variable by itself. So y plus 8.05 equals 11.12. Well, to get the variable by itself, we need to get y by itself on one side of the equation. This plus 8.05 that's attached, we got to get rid of it. We can't have that. We need y by itself. So to do that, we perform the opposite operation. Well, we have plus. So the opposite of addition is what? You got it, subtraction. So we're going to subtract 8.05. Now, if we're doing it to this side, we have got to do it to the other side as well. So the other side of the equal sign is 11.2. We're going to subtract 8.05. Did you notice how I lined up my decimal points? I'm going to go ahead and bring my answer one down so they're lined up. We're going to fill in any placeholders if needed. We're good over here. Technically, we could go ahead and fill this one in, make it a little bit easier. 2 minus 5, you can't do, right? So we're going to borrow. Make that a 12. What's 12 minus 5? You're right, it's 7. 0 minus 0? 0. 1 minus 8? Can't do it. I have to borrow. 11 minus 8? Good job. 3. Hope you guys are following along. So my answer is 3.07. Not too bad, right? Pause the video and write them down. Have a good day.